Okay, so these are the watches in question, from cheapest to, well, from most affordable to most expensive. This watch was $85 or $9 or something like that. That watch you can find on Amazon for about $140, and that watch was about $215. The Invicta actually probably has the best mechanical movement of these watches. This Citizen is an Eco Drive, so it's a quartz movement, which is probably, or not probably, it's most definitely the most accurate. This watch has never stopped, and none of my Eco Drives have ever stopped working. A day's charge will run them for about 6 months. So it's but this Invicta and this Seiko are both mechanical. With the Invicta, you get a dang, that's dirty. You get the display back with that's a Seiko movement, NH35 movement, which is hand windable and hacking. In fact, it needs to be wound now. Unscrew that, one click, and now we're winding. There, now it's moving. And I'm not going to worry about setting the date on that, but to be as cheap as this watch is, the fit and finish is pretty dang good. There are a couple things that I don't like about it. Number one is, you see the glass is not glass, the crystal is not sapphire. And see, it's developed some scratches on the edges. See how the glass, or the crystal is just raised a smidgen above the bezel. So it's very susceptible for scratches and dings. That's one beef that I have with it. But at $85, I'm not that worried, to be honest. I got this watch on this rubber strap because I thought if I got a metal link bracelet, the metal bracelet would feel very cheap. This rubber, though, I'm very happy with. It's super soft and it's like supple, and so it wears very, very comfortably. The bezel on this watch is probably my favorite part about it. 120 click, very tactile click. You know what I mean? It's spot on. See, we'll see if we'll get it to line up. And see, it lines up pretty dang well. It's for $85. Thrilled to death. There are guys modding these watches. I looked online and I didn't find any parts quickly, but I haven't done a ton of research, but I have seen on forums where there are guys modding this watch. So it's not real popular to mod because it's just so freaking cheap anyway. I mean, you could buy 2 or 3 of them for the price it would cost to put sapphire in it. So, but for the money, you really can't beat that. And that watch is ISO certified at 200 meters. So, not a lot to argue with. Okay, we'll jump over here. Since these two are most comparable, we'll jump straight to the Seiko. The Seiko this is automatic mechanical watch. I don't remember the reference number for the Seiko movement, but it's kind of an outdated Seiko movement. It is not hand windable. It's not hackable. So you have to, do the Seiko shuffle, as they call it. It's obviously, says right there, 200 meters water resistant. This watch is ISO certified. All these watches are actually. what I like about the watch, I really like the way it looks. The lume, I forget what Seiko calls their lume. I'll never remember. The lume is very, very bright compared to the lume on the Invicta. The Invicta's lume is not very impressive. So in real diving situations, it would die quick on you. This, however, I think it's, I don't remember. I'll never remember the name of the lume they put on Seiko uses, but it's really, really nice. It glows really nice and bright. Even walking through from one room to the next when the light dims, this watch will light up. Both of these Seiko movements are very reliable. The crown is bigger than it is on the Invicta, so it's just a little bit nicer to deal with because these are mechanical. You are unscrewing the crowns and adjusting the time basically every time you wear them, unless you wear them every day. I mean, I think it's a 40 or 41 hour reserve on both of these. And I don't wear either one of these every day, so every time I pick them up, I'm having to adjust the date and adjust the time. What I don't like about this watch, I kind of wish it had a display back. It has this Seiko SKX that's like the wave, whatever that's supposed to mean, which looks good, but I really like a display back to be able to look at the movement inside of it. One thing I don't like about this watch is you see how the bezel doesn't quite line up perfectly. That drives me crazy. You can kind of push it back against itself and get it there, but then it'll fall back over. The clickiness also on this watch is not as nice. You can see, even on camera, you can tell that it's not like clicking into each of its 120 clicks. It doesn't feel very good, but it will still surely do its job. And I do some free diving. I'm not a scuba diver, but being able to time my breathe ups with a bezel is useful. It does serve its purpose, if you will. One other thing I don't like about this is this Jubilee bracelet is mighty cheap. See the links, the in-between links, whatever you call those links, they're hollow. So the watch has a lot of give this way, which really makes it comfortable. It's really comfortable on the wrist, but it's also loud and jangly. Now I have it sized where it's a kind of a snug fit, so it's not so loud while I'm wearing it. But just to handle and move, it just kind of feels cheap. But it does its job. I have plans to mod this watch. And the Seiko is discontinued, by the way. Or not the Seiko, but the SKX is discontinued. So better get them while you can. Now, as far as a diving watch for diving, to me, and this is my humble opinion, unless you're doing scuba diving, there are better watches. The bigger brother to this is the Promaster Aqualand, and it has a depth gauge and a rapid ascent alarm. That would really be more useful. I would love to have a depth gauge on a watch without having to buy a dive computer. But as far as timing breathe ups and stuff like this, this watch you can tell it's more than just an ornament. Like those can be used to dive, and are certainly happy, 20, 30 feet under the water. This watch, I've never had those watches that deep, by the way. I have had this watch to about 25 feet. But this is an eco drive, so it's never stopped moving. It's been bang on accurate the entire time I've had it. The lume is incredibly bright and incredibly good looking. It's very comfortable to wear. This 4 o'clock position, similar to the SKX. Oh man, Sorry about that. This rubber strap, it's still got salt on it from the last time I went, but so the rubber strap is not quite as like soft and supple as the Invicta, but it's much more durable. And see how it's textured on the inside, so it doesn't slide around on your wrist. The watch this way, because it has a quartz movement, nothing bulges, so it's very comfortable on the wrist. That nice embossed, however that word is, engraved crown. The fit and finish of this is jam up. See how the crown fits so flush down to the case, and the bezel. It's a 60 click bezel, which is fine by me. I'm not worried about the 30 seconds, but every tick is just bang on every single minute count. I mean, it is, it's a pleasure to use. And I absolutely use it. This is the watch I take if I'm in the water. This is the watch I have on. And when you get out of the water, it's something good to look at. Decompression table there, it's a nice touch. With free diving, I don't have to worry about that, but for a scuba diver, maybe it would be handy. But it's a nice little touch on the side of the watch. But that is it. So best bang for the buck, probably. If you're not a diver and you just want the aesthetics, that's probably your best bang for the buck. That's probably the most iconic, especially now that the SKX is discontinued, and that is the best tool, I think. But that'll give you some insight if you're in the market for any of these. This Invicta, a lot of watch guys slag off Invicta watches. Invicta makes some really big, gaudy stuff, which I'm not really into. But their Pro Diver, I mean, that's a Rolex Submariner. I wouldn't even call it a homage. It's awful close to a blatant copy. That's what they were shooting for. I mean, the case shape, the size, all of it is very much Rolex Submariner. So a real watch guy will have beef with it for that. I'm not so worried. I really like this was my first automatic watch. So it taught me how they work, how to adjust the date without breaking cogs off inside of it. That sort of thing. So for the money, I'm not totally sure that it gets much better, really. Yep, there you go.